me to talk about was sort of coloring wood, and I know what fascinated Graham as a student was the idea of using chemicals as a method of coloring wood, and in doing that, what it is chemicals that are set to have a reaction with chemicals that are present naturally in wood. And so we'll do a little bit of that in a few minutes because that's what Graham was excited about. But because it's my evening, I get to talk about the things that I'm excited about too. And that are stains more than dyes. And so I thought I'd start with a bit of a definition about the difference between the two. Because what the difference is quite huge in how they react to the wood and put a finish on the wood. And what stains are made out of solid materials. I've got some burnt sienna here, so if you were to go to Italy and go to the Sienna region and get some clay from the Sienna hills and then fire it and then crumble it up, that's what you'd have. It's a true earth pigment, so it comes from the earth. And to make a stain, all you have to do is mix that with a little bit of paint thinner so then it can spread out evenly. And then you have to mix it with a bit of oil, put some boiled linseed oil, so that because if you use just paint thinner, somebody sits down on it, on a chair you do, and they get up and it's all come off on their white pants with them. So the oil fixes it so it stays in place. And then usually something to boost the hardness of it a little bit. And that's what these products are going to be is pigments. Whereas what dyes are, they're transparent. And so I've got one here. This comes from Lee Valley. It's one of their aniline dyes. If we were to put this in a clear glass jar, which I've got some of here, so let's just do that. It's more like a transparent material that you can see light right through it very easily. And so the effect that those two have on wood when they go on is very different, because the pigment stains, they'll get into the pores, the open grain like oak and sanding scratches, and sometimes the little swirls that sanders leave, and they'll color up the open pore grain. So on the bottom part of this hunk of white oak here, I put some aged oak gel stains, a Minwax product, on that lower square there. And you can see what it's done. It's really highlighted the oak figure, because those solid pigment particles get right in the open pores and lodge in there, and very big contrast. That aged oak is meant to be quite a dark stain, and you can see on the spring wood, the wood that grows early in the season, that's the open stuff, goes right in there. But on the summer wood, the more denser material that grows later in the season, it doesn't penetrate much at all. So one of the big advantages of dye is being able to change color dramatically. No matter how dark a stain you have, this solid particle stain, you can't get a dramatic color change as much as you can with dye. So my main primary ones I just used on the oak and the cherry and the maple here were a yellow, red, and a blue. And you can see that if you wanted, for whatever reason, some real dramatic color change, that is a great way to get it. Dye is really uniformly color. You can see on the oak, that yellow, it's not picky about whether it's spring wood or summer wood. It colors both the same. And so that's one of the big things that dyes do for you instead of stains. So if you're making a project that needs a dramatic color change, and I don't know how many of you remember those race car chairs I built a few years ago. There was the Bugatti and the Alfa Romeo, so I fussed around and got a blue that looked kind of Bugatti blue, and I fussed around with some red and got an Alfa Romeo red, and that's what I dyed up the wood with, because I wanted race car colors on chairs. So that's not the average thing, but if you're making kids furniture or something, it's really fun to get those bright colors. So Lee Valley sells aniline dyes. They come in a envelope looks just like this. And inside there, we have a little pouch that has, plastic pouch, that has enough dye powder to make 1 liter of concentrated dye. So it's real easy. You just take that powder. What I usually do is fill that up about halfway with water and then just slowly mix the powder in and then top it up the rest of the way with the rest of your water and let it sit there and stir it around a bit, and that's it. I think these are about $8 now. And I think $8 for a bunch of powder, but that makes a liter of stain that goes a huge long way. It's very economical. It's probably the cheapest method of wood coloring you can get. It's really good that way. And they sell it in both lots of wood tones, these great romantic names like light Sheraton mahogany and honeytone amber maple, and which looks more like it fell in a mud puddle, but it's got that great name. And the primary colors, there's a yellow, a green, 2 reds, and 2 blues that you can get in a package. And they're really nice for the vibrant ones if you want. But there's another source that, I mean, one of the beauties of aniline dye, unlike regular pigment stains, is you can wipe, I was going to do a bit of that in a minute, wipe it on and then wipe another color, and you can sort of mix colors on the palette, I guess you could call it, yeah. A little hairy to do that on a finished piece of furniture, but, if you're trying to match a repair or something, that would work.
What about color fastness between the...
Yeah, that's a really good question too. These dyes, unless they're protected with something on top, like any kind of top coat, they're not fast at all, especially in sunlight, direct sunlight. Inside, it'd be like, you know, sunburn. If you're inside a window, you're not going to get UV through to the point where it will burn you, but certainly I dyed a transom of a little sailboat I did one time, and it didn't last anyway.
What would you top coat with?
Just like these have lacquer, a couple of coats of lacquer on them. If you were really worried about it outdoors, you might try something with ultraviolet block, like a marine varnish or something like that. I've got a little blurb. This just reminds me to talk about this now. Frequently asked questions. People, you make a nice pot of tea and you pour the tea into a glass or a glass mug and you think, wouldn't that look nice on wood that's sort of orangey brown? Or how about real black, strong coffee like we make here at the Guild? That would be just great for ebonizing purposes. Or red wine. I know, where's Murray? Murray's wife Pat, she was always keen on trying red wine as a stain. I don't know why. Match the dining room table. Anyway, all of those work, but they aren't color fast. They're terrible for fastness. They all fade real quick in the sun.